about the conditions of Black Americans in Ghana, in Tanzania, in the Gambia, and the rest of the motherland. So the comment section is enabled. If you have any comments, you can always give out. It's not going to take long. And so I want us to talk about the conditions of Black Americans in Ghana, Tanzania, the Gambia, and the rest of the motherland, the rest of Africa. Because Black Americans are not only in these three countries. We have them in all parts of Africa, particularly the sub-Saharan Africa. Because in the sub-Saharan Africa is where we have the majority of the Black Africans. Yeah. Well, why Ghana? I'm saying Ghana because it is Ghana. Ghana is the specific country that announced it publicly that African Americans could come into their country visa-free, or they would apply for a visa once they are in the country. This was done in 2019, and it was called the Year of Return. President Nana Akufo-Addo, I think, is one of the best presidents Africa has ever had. He's a good man. He's thoughtful. He defends Africa in all ways, because we need to accept one of our own. Our very own are the Black Americans, and it's good to accept ourselves back home. Why Tanzania also? Tanzania, wait, before I go to Tanzania, we need to understand that Ghana is a place where Ghana was like a stage, a bus stop, where you go and take your bus to work, where you go to take your bus to school. So Ghana is where we had a place where slaves were taken, and a place where punguza kelele. Ghana is a hey babe. Sorry about the news, guys. So today Ghana is a place where African Americans were taken. It was like a stage where they were brought all across Africa and put there, particularly with the coast of West Africa. They were taken, placed in these warehouses. These warehouses had their names. The most common one is the Cape Coast Castle. The Cape Coast Castle is found along the shores of the Atlantic in Ghana. And also we have the Elmina Castle, which is found along the shores of the Atlantic in Ghana. So these two places play a key significant role to the Africans, because it reminds them where they came from. It reminds them of their ancestry. It reminds them of a lot. Now, let's talk about Tanzania. We all know about the late President John Pombe Magufuli. He's one of the most straightforward presidents Africa has ever had. He never accepted corruption, and he was very, very straightforward. The current president is also straightforward. I like her stance, and I also like her role as a president in Tanzania as a female. It's hard for a female, but things are changing nowadays. Tanzania is one country where Black Americans are living, and actually I follow this couple channel in Tanzania. I should tell you this. If you want to know more about Tanzania, I advise you go and check their videos also. It's called T3 and Me. T3 and Me is a YouTube channel hosted in Tanzania belonging to Black Americans. They give important footnotes, important experience, important information about the life of Black Americans in Tanzania, which is really important for you to know. You see, most of Black Americans, when they come to Africa, you always hear complaints about this and that, and the robbing, and bad things happen. But you always make sure that you do your research. Always make sure that you do your research before you come to Africa. Not only Africa, but any other country also. Always make sure you do your research. Any country, any place, always make sure you do your research. It's very, very important. Also, we have the Gambia. The Gambia, needless to say, is also a country in the west of Africa. You see, when you look at the map of Africa, you'll find that the west of Africa borders the east of America, the east of USA, the east of Canada, and the east of South America. It's important also to realize that most Black Americans who are in America right now and who are there before, when the DNA analysis was made, it was found out that their ancestry, their DNA was from the Gambia, was from Senegal, was from Cameroon, from this and that. Now, Gambia is also a country where Black Americans are flourishing. I have done some research. I've seen some videos online of Black Americans living there, which is very nice. There's this channel, I've just forgotten the name. This man and his wife. He calls his wife Sweet Juicy Mama. Yeah, that channel with the woman called Sweet Juicy Mama. They give relevant information there. They give their life experience. They even have a farm. They even have a farm in Ghana, in Gambia. Tell me, it might be easy to get a farm in Africa and do agriculture, but it's not easy. It's not easy to get a farm in the United States and do agriculture. Africa gives the Black American a level ground. It's your competency that will enable you to get to a point where you can say, I am living a better life. Most of the videos I've done, Black Americans were saying, I have a good life. It's different from the ones I experienced before, which is really good. Keep on commenting, guys. I can see your comments. I can see, sorry, I'm far from the camera. Den Kogei, wow, thank you. All right, I'll do this. Hello, can you hear me now? Hello? Am I audible? You can tell me in the comments if I'm audible. Wow, okay. So all along were you not listening to me? Was I just talking? Was I just speaking? I don't know. Wow, okay. Let's continue then. Thank you for getting into the live stream. Thank you a lot. Wow, thank you. Let me unlock my phone. I'm using this phone. Wow. So one thing we need to understand. Thank you, Mr. Eric. Thank you, Letita Israel. Thank you. I love the name Israel. Thank you, Shoshana. Wow, Shoshana. Okay. So, the African American diaspora refers to people of African descent who have migrated or have been forced to leave the United States and settle in other parts of the world. I don't think Black Americans are leaving the United States because they are forced. I think it's because they're fed up. You guys are fed up by the discrimination, by all the things that are happening there. It can also be hard for me to be in such a place and experience all those difficulties. I'll just run away and get to Africa. That is what you guys are doing. Because, Africa offers you guys a level ground. If you cannot achieve something in the United States, I believe, this one I'm basing from my own past experiences with researchers, with videos, with the Black Americans I've met. They've told me that their life changed once they got to Africa. I get mails every day from my loyal followers like you people. I get mails, I get reports, even from my own YouTube homepage. Every day I'm always getting reports. Black American mistreated, Black American boy shot, this and that. You know, it's tiring to be waking up and always checking on your shoulder. It's tired to be waking up. You're afraid of going to the mall. You're afraid of walking in public. You're afraid of shouting, hello. You're afraid of that. In Africa, we accept you. In Africa, you are who you are. In Africa, we don't see you for your color. In Africa, we see you for who you are, not your color, but for who you are. We see you as a human. We see you as a man. We see you as a woman. We see you as a baby girl. We see you as a baby boy. We see you for who you are. And don't remember, guys, the topic of today is about, yeah, Charlotte Ben, Chantal. Yeah, you want to come home. Home is welcoming you guys. Home is for you. Come home. We want you home. Get home, please. Get home. The West is so tiring, Shoshana. It's very, very tiring. It's very, very tiring. Actually, I'm thinking that tomorrow I can arrange a go live together. We can arrange a go live together live stream so that you guys can share your experiences and you can also meet other people who have been to Africa. I can arrange for that. I can arrange for you people in the West to meet the you people who are already in the African motherland. Yeah. So tomorrow we'll be having a live stream at the same time we started this one at around 8 p.m. 8 p.m. East African time. Charlotte, the planes are coming. The planes are coming. But first, I want you to listen to this report. Listen to this report. I'll send the ships. I'll send the planes. I'll even send anything that can move over water. Will come there. First, spiritually, I want you to get into Africa. Come into Africa spiritually first. Yeah. Tomorrow I will be holding the live stream. So, over the years, many African Americans have chosen to move to Africa, seeking a connection to their ancestral roots and a sense of community. However, the experiences of African Americans in Africa are not often talked about. You will discover, even in my own country, Kenya, not a lot. It's like 5 people, a very few number of Kenyan YouTubers talk about Black Americans. Few, very few, very few. You know, it's hard. It's hard for me to see how our fellow Black people are oppressed in the East, in the West, waking up with the bad news each day. So I took it upon myself to create this channel. I want to contribute to the community of Black people, to my community, back to the society. And that's why we are doing all this. And you guys are supporting me. It's very, very important. You see, the experiences of African Americans in Africa are not often talked about. That one we've said. And we want to shed light on this topic today. So in this live stream, we will explore the living conditions of African Americans in Africa, the challenges they face, the contributions they make, and much more. So let's continue watching the video and see how important this can help you. The importance of this one. Yeah. Please stay in the live stream. Don't leave. Don't leave. Please stay in the live stream. So one of the things that Black Americans face, all their conditions here, is based on the history of African American migration to Africa. The history of African American migration to Africa includes the reason why some African Americans have chosen to move to Africa. Okay, what kind of information is this? A little bit discuss. Thank you guys for commenting. In Kenya, we welcome you. You're so much welcomed in Kenya. You're so much welcomed in Kenya. Wow, I didn't know about this. What you are doing is prophetic. You are assisting to stick to come back together. Wow. Thank you so much, Charlotte. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let's continue. Wow, all the way from Jamaica. How is Jamaica? Comment down below how Jamaica is. I love Jamaica. I love Kingston. Kingston, Jamaica. Kingston is the capital of Jamaica, right? Wow. Jacksonville, in Florida. Wow. Yeah, you know, I only watch these places on TV and on my phone. Ah, in Florida is where we have Miami, right? Wow. You guys are watching from very far. So we were talking about the conditions, sorry, the conditions of African Americans. So one thing we need to understand is the history of African migration to Africa. Wow, Charlotte Ben Yasharal, Townsend, Delaware, USA. Yeah, I've heard of the name Delaware. Townsend, I think, is the name of someone. Wow, you guys are watching from very far. Wow, I hope you guys are okay on the other side. I hope the Almighty Yahweh is taking care of you guys. I want you to come back to the motherland, healthy, good. We will welcome you with our open arms. You come to Africa. I myself will cook for you food, African food, and you will eat. I, with my partner, will cook for you beautiful African food, and you will enjoy. Yeah. Wow, Shoshana. Shoshana is watching from Germany. How is Germany? How are you doing in Germany? Yeah. We should fight spiritual warfare daily. I believe that. Eric, African Portuguese. Ah. You know, you're rare. You're rare. So how are you doing? You're tuning in from UK. Wow. I believe you're doing fine in the UK. The capital of UK is London. Yeah, that's my partner. I think she's calling me to go and eat. So the live stream is ending in 10 minutes. Before we end the live stream, let me say the history of African American migration to Africa. The Back to Africa movement in the 19th century continues to this day. Back to Africa is not something that started yesterday, it has always been there. There have been various reasons why African Americans have chosen to migrate to Africa, such as escaping racism and discrimination, to start businesses, to engage in cultural exchange. An example of this is this one. In the 19th century, we know of our great ancestor Marcus Garvey, a Jamaican activist. Oh, I read about I read about his life. It was powerful. So Marcus Garvey advocated for the repatriation of African Americans to Africa. He founded the Universal Negro Improvement Association and urged African Americans to look to Africa. When a black king shall be crowned, for the day of deliverance is at hand. Those are the words of Marcus Garvey. To Marcus Garvey, he was a king to us, but to the white people, he was an activist, he was a rebel, he was all that bad person. Wow, so you are a Mozambican, half Sao Tomean. Hey, wow. Sao Tome and Principe. You know, when I was a kid, I loved watching. When I was a kid, I loved watching. Not really. I loved watching documentaries. Sorry, I had a glitch with my Wi-Fi. It's disturbing. Share the video. Kuja tu uonekane. Kama uonekane. She does not want to appear on the video. To respect her decision and not let her. Let me finish up. I'm coming. So I was talking about Marcus Garvey. So Garvey's movement inspired thousands of African Americans to migrate to Liberia, Sierra Leone, and other parts of West Africa. Today, African Americans continue to move to Africa, with many seeking to invest in local businesses, teach in schools, and contribute to the communities. So what are the living conditions of African Americans in Africa? The living conditions of African Americans in Africa can vary widely depending on the country and origin. I'm always telling you, fellow black people, that choose a country depending on how you are, depending on your pocket. I hate saying that word pocket. Depending on how you are, you can choose the country of your liking. If you want, you can choose South Africa. If you want, you can choose Ghana. If you like, you can choose Gambia. But always do your research about the living standards. A country might have a high living standards, but what you need is something that does not match that one. Or maybe you can support the country's, you can move in alignment with the country's living standard. So always do your research. Always do your research. So the living conditions of African Americans in Africa vary widely depending on the countries and regions. Some African Americans live in urban areas with access to modern amenities, while others live in rural areas with limited access to basic necessities like clean water and electricity. Yeah, that is obvious. The rural parts of Kenya, we don't have electricity, most part of it. Now is when electricity is getting in. So example, let's talk about Ghana. Ghana has a growing number of African Americans and who are choosing to move to the country and invest in local business. Some of them have built modern homes and apartments, while others live in traditional villages. However, despite the advantage of living in Ghana, many African Americans still face challenges such as access to healthcare and education. These are some of the challenges that our fellow black people might face. You see? Another one is racism and discrimination, but this one is close to zero. Close to zero. In Africa, we don't have racism. Apart from some parts of South Africa and some parts of Northern Africa is where we have racism. And maybe the other parts. I don't want to say those words. This video might be demonetized or pulled down by YouTube. So discrimination and the other word is what our fellow African Americans might face. In South Africa, African Americans have reported experiencing discrimination from other experts who view them as privileged Americans. They have also faced xenophobia from locals who perceive them as outsiders. Addressing these issues required an open and honest conversation about race and culture, and a willingness to engage in empathy and understanding. From the words of Yeshua, Jesus Christ of Nazareth, Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Today we have many Jesus Christ, but I'm referring to Jesus Christ of Nazareth, the Son of Yahweh, the Son of the Almighty. He said that love is the greatest commandment. If you don't have love in your heart, you are missing a very large piece of existence. So if people have love, they will have empathy and they will have understanding. We won't have discrimination at all. So we also have success stories. Not that we also have we have a lot of success stories in Africa. African Americans in Africa have had significant contribution to their communities and to the arts and cultures scenes. These stories deserve to be highlighted and celebrated. So we'll go to Nigeria and bring some examples. In Nigeria, African American filmmaker aka Duvenai produced and directed the documentary Daughters of the Dust. I've not watched these Daughters of the Dust, but I believe it's quite a good movie. These Daughters of the Dust explored the experiences of Gula people. The experiences of Gula people, a group of African Americans who had retained many of their African tradition. The film was widely acclaimed and won several awards. Similarly, African American fashion designer Oswald Boateng has made a name for himself in Ghana, where he opened a flagship store and mentored young designers. So let's conclude and let's end the video here. It is important to continue the conversation about the conditions of African Americans in Africa, to learn from their experience and to support their communities. Black Americans, fellow Africans, African Americans, foundational Black Americans, I just call you brothers and sisters. That's the right name. No need for foundational Black Americans, African Americans, no. Brothers and sisters is who we are. That is how we should call ourselves. So the experiences of African Americans in Africa are diverse and complex. That's true. It might differ from you and from me. And there is much we can learn from their stories. By acknowledging the challenges they face and celebrating their success, we can help build bridges between different cultures and create a more inclusive and compassionate world. Yeah. So those are some of the challenges I have gathered so far. There are so many. They are not limited to what I have said, but for the sake of the length of the video, I will have to end the conversation here. Thank you, Cecily. I understand it. We are brothers and sisters. Nobody should be called Black American or what. No. Nana Akufo-Addo, the president of the Republic of Ghana, said that outside Africa, we don't see a Senegalese. Outside Africa, we don't see a Tanzanian. Outside Africa, we don't see a Kenyan. We don't see a South African. Whom we see is an African fellow. Whom we see is an African. And who is that? That is your brother. Who is that? That is your sister. That is how you see. I cannot call my brother African American. I cannot call my brother African. No, I'll call him brother. That is how we should call ourselves. Yeah, too many labels. Yeah. You should come and visit Mount Kenya. Mount Kenya has been long spoken of as the mighty land. Yeah, you should come to Mount Kenya. Myself, it's funny I am in Kenya, but I've never been to Mount Kenya. Anyway, one of these days I'll go there and see. And by the way, I didn't tell you about this. There is a religion in Kenya that is called I'm forgetting the name. There's a tribe that there's a tribe that surrounds Kenya, the central part of Kenya. It's called the Kikuyu tribe. So there's a religion that was started by the Kikuyu around Mount Kenya. Yeah. Zion, Mount Zion. Wow. Oh, yeah, you love Kenya. We love you. We love you a lot also. Dennis, the live stream was not made for. Okay, the live what? How should I say it? The live stream was just for a single person. Tomorrow we'll be having a go together live stream. Huh? So I'll make you connected. Kikeu. It's not said Kikeu, it's Kikuyu. 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 Or if you like, you can say Agikuyu. Agikuyu. It's also a Bantu language in Kenya. You know, at RA Horus is highlighting a very important topic because Africa, we should have a borderless policy. A borderless policy. Wademaya is trying to fight for this, but nothing is happening. Nothing is changing. I don't know why. Nothing is happening. But maybe days to come, or years to come, or months, I pray it should not be years. We'll be having a borderless policy where Africans will travel. Africans will travel within Africa visa free. Visa free. Particularly the northern part of Africa. It's very tight. It's very hard to go there without a visa, particularly if you are also from the sub-Saharan Africa. Charlotte, I've not heard of the African Union passport. Do we have any? Yeah, it should. That must be something bigger. I'm missing one. Do we have an AU passport, an African Union passport? What I know is that we have, we have trade blocks. We have the East African Community. We have SADC. So in the EAC, we have the EAC passport, which allows people of East Africa to move within East Africa visa free. Wow, it's a true thing. I'll check on this and see. I'll check on this and see. Yeah, Dennis has given you the titles. Guys, I also would tell you about Dennis. Dennis Kogei has a YouTube channel. Actually, he is upcoming and he's talking about Africa and the content. The same thing I'm talking about is what he talks about. He's the other Kenyan YouTuber that I know speaks about Africa, challenges the view of African by the West. You should go check out Den Kogei, his channel. You should go check out Den Kogei. Talks about Africa. So if you're an African enthusiast, as I know you are, check out Den Kogei. Yeah. Wow, so they have extended it to the African diaspora, the sixth region of the AU. I think I'll have to do some research on this because this one is a lot of information and very insightful. I'll have to do a lot of research on this. Yeah. So what should I, which comment am I missing? So guys, I think I'll have to end the live stream here. I'll have to end the live stream and kindly subscribe to the channel if you have not. Share the video if you can, please, and put the like. Yeah. Bye. Before I end the live stream, if you have any questions, please comment down below. Yeah, what time is the live tomorrow? The live tomorrow is happening at 8 p.m. East African time. That is 22,000 hours East African time. Somewhere around, by the time this live starts, so shall be the tomorrows. Yeah. Chihombori is one very powerful and vocal lady we are blessed to have here in Africa. She does a very nice work of speaking the truth for what it is. I think these are some of the reasons why she was taken out as the ambassador of the African Union to the United States. It was so bad. Yeah, she really knows to deal with those people. She says something for what it is. She calls a spade, not a big spoon. So, guys, if you have any questions, please throw them before I end the interview, before I end the live stream. Yeah. PLO Lumumba, despite him having a heavy vocabulary, whatever he says uh, sinks, sinks with my spirit. What he says is very vocal, it's very important, and it's something which is very true. Yeah. Somehow I do think this one had some external forces. Eric, you're saying the truth. Our Dr. Rikana, some strings were attached somewhere. So guys, let me end the interview. Bye. Comment down below. I'll get your comments. See you.